back to episode 5 of Bibliophiles Audiophiles with Alyssa.
Was you going to say Lydia?
I was going to say Liz.
Oh. This is Lydia, sorry.
And this week we are reading Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom.
Here is the blurb as found on Storygraph. It's exclusive. You won't read this anywhere else, I promise.
Absolutely not.
Totally not. First off, I'm going to go ahead with a content warning because I may forget. Death and terminal illness is the triggers in this book. Yeah. Here is the blurb. Maybe it was a grandparent, a teacher, or a colleague, someone older, patient, and wise, who understood you when you were young and impassioned, helped you to see the world as a more profound place, and gave you sound advice to guide your way through it. For Mitch Albom, it was Morrie Schwartz, the college professor who had taught him nearly 20 years before. Perhaps like Mitch, you lost track of this mentor. As the years passed, the insights faded and the world seemed colder. Wouldn't you like to see that person again, to ask the bigger questions that still haunt you, and receive wisdom for your busy life the way you once did when you were younger? Mitch Albom got that second chance, rediscovering Morrie in the last months of the older man's life. Their rekindled relationship turned into one final class, Lessons in How to Live. Tuesdays with Morrie is a magical chronicle of their time together.
The reason why we read this is because of me.
Because of you.
Because
and
of me.
Great recommendation. Not being sarcastic.
It's classic. It's
is.
listed as a classic on Storygraph, but I already knew that before I read the book because I remember in high school people talking about the book and how it's like a classic and people have read it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a book we were made to read like they normally do in school. Did you, as a homeschool student,
no.
I'm not trying to offend you, did you know that they like require you to read stuff?
No. The last book that I was required to read for school was George Orwell, Animal Farm. And that was the one and only.
This is a thing they do like every single year, you know, they give you like books to
year?
read. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like English class, freshman year, we read Romeo and Juliet. We've read, what did we read? Life of Pi. Spoiler alert, sorry teacher who, probably won't listen to this. Maybe if you do, you might like it. But if you do listen to this, I'm sorry. I did not read Life of Pi when you assigned it. Like, that didn't happen.
I've actually never heard of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
You know, okay.
That's kind of why I didn't read it. It was kind of like a
do.
do not finish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, that was another one we read. I can't really remember what the other ones we read, but she had a bunch of others. I think the Odyssey or the Iliad or something like that. What did we read? In my like junior year, we read The Crucible, The Great Gatsby and stuff like that. But Tuesdays with Morrie never came up, and I'm honestly
I'm shocked.
I'm disappointed.
Because that has so many life lessons that young people need.
Yes. But it was not one of my required readings. But that's how we came about that. I found it at Books A Million, and it was part of a buy two, get the third free sale. So I was like, it's here. There's a sale.
That's all the inspiration you need.
Yes. So I was like, I got to read this. And it's a very short book, too.
I think I was able to finish it in like 2 days.
I read it in a day.
Yeah. I have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read it in a day. Like an evening.
I could have read it in a day.
So it's short. So I'm like, again, surprised that wasn't something that like was required.
Yes. Especially because of how amazing it is.
But we'll get to all that in our thoughts later.
Sorry, listen. Sorry.
We'll move on to reviews that other people have written.
Yes. Before we jump to ours.
On Storygraph, the average review was a 4.02, which is really high. Scrolling through it, all the reviews they have on there, there's a lot of good reviews. Like, there was not really a lot that had under 3 stars. Mm-hmm. Most of them were like 4s. Mm-hmm. But anything that was below a 3, there was no explanation. Like, I saw 1 2.5 star, but there was no explanation as to why.
They need to be slapped in the face.
Yes,
and then
with the book.
To read with the book, and then forced to read it again.
Yes, agreed. But to the reviews, this is a 4.25. I love this book. Gives so many life lessons. Gives so many life lessons and shows just how precious life truly is. Perfectly explains so many things, and the pace was amazing. This is a 3-star. Not my most favorite book. Read for a class. Good, but not the type of book I would normally read. Usually books you read for class usually aren't.
I never would have read this book if you didn't recommend it so highly.
This is a 5-star. Probably my favorite book that he wrote. I think I have this one too if you want to borrow it. Thank you, but I own the copy.
Yeah.
I screenshotted this other 5 stars. I didn't think I had it, but I'm going to read it anyway because I have it. One of those books to reread once every few years to remind yourself to focus on what's important in life and learn to live.
Yes.
100% agree. So those are those. We gave you an idea of what the book's about.
So now we can dive in.
There's some spoilers coming up, sweetie. You better cover your ears.
Do you want to start?
I can. I actually wrote a lot about this.
Oh, this is all I wrote.
I wrote front and back. By the way, we have a pretty much like matching notebooks. Only mine's Hufflepuff and her Slytherin. And so...
Excuse me.
Oh, wait, hold on a minute. I saw blue and I'm like, Slytherin. Man, I am so sorry. That's probably the most offensive thing that I have ever said to you.
Yeah.
And you're a short Yankee.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Dang.
But we have matching notebooks.
Yes, and so we can tell like how much each other has wrote if we say one side or front and back. This one's a front and back for me.
This was a one side, but I think that's just because
you do bullet points.
I didn't live action read.
I did.
And record.
I would be sitting there reading on my couch, and I'm like, "Oh, that's good." And I'd like go find my notebook.
This one, because like when we were deciding which books to start off with, I had already read this book.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like bullet points and just like things I remember, not full on like sentences.
Okay. So do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Another wow read. I almost cried 30 pages in. Listen, I sound like a hormonal wreck.
I didn't cry till the end.
Man, 30. I don't remember what it was, but like 30 pages in, I was just like, I remember it was like 10 o'clock at night when I started this. I'm sitting in bed after a shower. All my reading time is around showers. I'm just now noticing that. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't cry 30 pages in. Like, I can't cry this soon. This is a powerful story. So many amazing lessons.
Yes.
I don't like nonfiction books.
I'm not the biggest fan.
It's chalk. No. Nails on a chalkboard to read nonfiction stories from me. I don't know why. They're just awful. Yeah. They're not awful. That makes me sound bad. They're not captivating like fiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's just...
Real life is so boring.
Yeah. That's honestly fair though. It's true.
But if I was ever to have a favorite, this would be it.
Oh, same. So far. There's a couple of nonfiction reads that are on my TBR list, but out of the ones that I have read, this is like my favorite. It also made me feel bad about myself.
It did. It was like, oh, this is so sweet. By the way, I'm awful.
Yeah, because like there's so many teachers and professors I've had where I've said like, oh, I'm going to keep in contact with you.
This made me value elderly people a lot.
Yes.
Because they have so much wisdom.
Yes.
But like nobody wants to talk to them.
No.
And I mean, they can be mean, but they're usually sweet.
They are. Yeah. But like
this memoir opened my eyes a lot.
You know, it made me think of this one professor I had. Shout out Professor Z. Honestly, my favorite professor that I probably had, who taught me in college. She's amazing. She's memorable. She just like treated you like not like a student. Like she treated you like your friends. And like she'll reach out to you and like after, because I only had her for a semester, and this was like my first semester of my senior year. So the second semester of my senior year, there was this award ceremony, and I happened to win an award with a couple of other people. And one of those peoples were someone who was in her class currently because I recommended the class to him. And she reached out to the both of us and emailed us and said, wow, what a great accomplishment. You know, like she actually reached out. She cared.
Yeah.
And that's not something you see quite a lot. I mean, you do have professors and teachers who are, but like she is a very memorable person. So in the case of the scenario for Mitch and Morrie, I want to say she's almost like the equivalent to that.
Yeah.
That, her, and then there's another professor. I didn't have her for a class, but shout out Annabella, because you're about like the same level too. I know a lot of people connected with you, and I didn't have the chance to connect with her as much as other students because they were with her a lot longer. But you heard
from like a friend of a friend that she's connectable.
Well, she's very connectable. I can tell you that for sure because I've been around her. Yeah. But I just didn't have as much time as everybody else, you know, to connect with her. But two of like the very best professors at my college who very much like resembled kind of like this kind of like friendship kind of like relationship kind of deal that's going on in this book. So it made me feel very guilty because there are people I don't really reach out
That you
to
don't
as
reach out
much
to.
anymore, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I probably should, and I probably will.
It's so
after this.
easy to get caught up. Yeah, now you feel guilty.
Yeah, I feel so guilty.
It's so easy to get caught up because there's so
It
many
is.
distractions and so many
Yes.
things going on today that you
Yes.
just don't think about them until like 11 o'clock at night. And you're just like, I can't reach out now because I'm not like a crazy person.
Especially since I'm in a different time zone.
Exactly.
So-
I forget about that.
Yeah.
3 of my favorite lessons from Morrie, I actually wrote down actual sentences, which is,
Oh.
I've never done that. Ever.
Really?
No, it's quotation. Is that what it's called or something?
Yes.
When you just write down sentences that mean something.
Yes.
In this book, I had 3 of them.
Mm.
There is no experience like having children, which is, who would have thought? It's beyond true because I have 2. And when he talks about how the bond
Mm-hmm.
and like the love that you share is like unlike anything else you've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me cry. Actually, it did. Because I was actually sitting there holding Jameson, pumping, and reading all at the same time because I was exclusive pumping when I was rereading this. And so that made me feel content.
Yeah.
Like, not really happy, not really sad, but content. Because I was just
Mhm.
like, I'm doing a good thing. Because there's no experience like having children. So that was like a really special, I'll probably never forget that moment.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is part of the problem is that everyone is in such a hurry. People haven't found meaning in their life, so they're running all the time looking for it. They think the next car, the next house, the next job. Then they find these things are empty too, and they keep running.
Absolutely agree with that.
That, it gave me chills, actually, it did. Because like,
Mhm.
I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, wow, that's so true. And I'm personally guilty of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so easy
Me too.
to bounce between games and apps and social media platforms, and
Oh, yeah.
we never realize what's in front of us.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with TikTok and Instagram Reels. The third and final lesson that I loved, we all have the same beginning, birth, and we all have the same end, death. So how different can we be?
Oh, I love
I love that. That honestly might be my favorite. You know, screw the kid thing. It's perfect in and of itself.
Right.
So many people need to hear that simple
Yeah.
sentence because it's so
Yes.
it's world changing.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is why this book should be, if any book is pushed in high school, this should be the one.
Absolutely. The life lessons.
Yes.
Yes. It's
Ah.
just, it's stuff people need to know, need to hear, need to understand.
Mhm.
And the fact that this wasn't something that was required in my school to read, shocking. Again, that's
Yeah.
like I said before. Like, this is something people need.
You know, Mitch recorded all of these times with him.
I love that.
Have you ever heard them?
No.
I
Did
really
you?
want. No, I really want to. I figured you would have because usually you do more research on books than I do. But that would be amazing to listen to that.
And then he had his own, like, Dateline, like, interviews.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure we'd be able to find
I wonder if we could find those on YouTube.
We probably
or
can.
something.
And I would love to, like,
I would love to
listen
hear
them.
that. Yes. Oh man, this book was wonderful.
This is something we've kind of already insinuated, but like
Mhm.
it really makes you want to reevaluate your life
Mhm.
and just be like, what am I actually doing here?
Yeah.
I'm also surprised that I didn't cry more than I actually did, because I didn't cry to the end of the book.
I love how we're like gauging all these books on how much we cry and when.
But like this one, I cried at, I think it was like the last chapter ish, where Mitch says, "I don't know how to say goodbye," and
Oh my gosh!
like
I'm
I
about to
started
cry
tearing
now
up and I
thinking
started
about it.
crying. Like I had to close the book, and I was just like,
That reminded me of my granddaddy that passed away in October because everyone was like, "Say goodbye," and I was like, "I don't know how."
yeah,
Because like this guy has like been here my entire life, and
Mhm.
now all of a sudden he's fixing to not be anymore,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, how do you say goodbye to that? But yeah, that part hit me really hard.
that's what like hit me,
Yeah,
and I was just like,
I'm not gonna cry now.
Stop.
Oh my gosh, I love the fact that he was a peace bringer and like known as a peace bringer.
Yes,
And there was like riots or not riots, protesting.
Yes.
And he was like friendly on both sides. I
Mhm.
love that.
mm-hmm.
He was a man of the people.
The other thing about this book, that I wrote down is, I don't know if this is a movie. I hope it is, but I would
It
100%
should be.
watch it.
Yes.
Because it's just that good. Where
I wouldn't care if this was a 3-hour long movie.
absolutely
I would sit
read
through
it. Not read it,
every
watch it.
You would read that 3-hour movie.
I would read the transcript at the bottom, like if it was in another language. Like,
Subtitles. Boom.
And it kind of made me want to read more of Mitch's work. And if
Does he have more?
He has other books, yes.
Oh, I thought this was like a only one because it was like a memoir.
He's got other books. I've seen him at Walmart. And
save money, live better.
Walmart. If Morrie has any books, I think he's got more like a...
Yeah, I heard that he did write.
I think psych books.
I would love to be inside
or
his
sociology.
Mind. Yeah.
Like, I would... If he has any, which I think he does, I would love to read those too.
Yes.
Because, like, just the wisdom that, like, exudes off of him.
It really does.
It's just...
Like, anytime it was a moment in the book where he was talking, I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard for me to do with books because my mind's 1,000 miles an hour. But in that book, I was there and I was silently listening. And I love that. It reminds me of when I'm reading the Bible and Jesus is talking. I don't want to compare more to Jesus, but that's like the same feeling that I got. I was just like, wow, chills, you know?
Like,
it made me feel so good.
Everyone needs a Morrie.
They really do. You know, my dad's old. He could be our Morrie.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, no, my dad, not your dad.
I do call him Dad sometimes.
Oh, you do? Oh.
He's my Alabama
That's your
dad.
Alabama dad. And then your dad is Yankee dad.
Hey, Yankee Dad.
I thought you were saying hey to your dad.
Hey, dads.
Hey, dad. Oh, them, yeah, my dads.
You're my dad.
My dad.
Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie.
Boogie, woogie. What was that?
A vine.
Is it really?
You're my dad. Boogie, woogie, woogie, woogie.
I actually have never seen that.
I am going to find it for you later.
Okay. Yeah, remind me of that. You're going to be editing this and be like, oh, yeah.
Send.
It might be a few days, but I'll watch it eventually. Yeah. Do you have any more points to make?
That's it.
Okay. Well,
I gave it a 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. Hands
100%.
down. There was no denying. I knew this was going to be 5 out of 5 before I was even done.
Really?
I did. I was just like, oh, this is it. This is the one.
The fact that I was able to sit down and read it and, like, not stop.
Yeah.
Especially for it being a nonfiction book, which is not something I typically read. It has to be a 5
This was
out of 5.
unputdownable. I don't want to use that label lightly, but this was one of those two.
Would read again.
Yes, definitely would read again.
Should read again.
Make your children read it.
Yes. Force your friends to read it.
My children
read it to them.
Read it to them.
Like, everyone needs this, to be honest. Like, it's just the life lessons alone. It's just something people need to hear, understand, and absorb. I don't know. Like,
if more people were like Morrie, the world would be a better place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He was just so sweet. I guess the last thing I want to say is thank you, Morrie, for being the person that you were. Teacher, friend, and peace bringer. And thank you, Mitch, for sharing your story with all of us.
We really appreciate you.
I super duper appreciate. I'm going to force everyone I know to read this. Some is need to read, inspirational, and eye-opepening.
I concur.
Concur, yes.
Big fancy word.
Yes, fancy.
That's pretty much all I have to say. All you
I guess
have to say.
I'm kind of sad to wrap this one up.
Yeah, because it just feels wrong to wrap it up.
I know, because I'm just like, man, I could talk about this forever, but like, it's 10 p.m.
Yeah. But anyways.
No, I loved it. It's perfect.
That should be
it. Thanks for listening to this episode of Bibliophiles Audiophiles.
You can check out our Instagram, where you can send us some DMs of books you recommend, good or bad. Leave a rating with them as well. Give it a out of 5-star kind of review. Also available on our Instagram is going to be previews of upcoming episodes, teasers of current episodes, and other Book Rush related things. I forgot to mention that our Instagram name is @BiblioAudioPodcast. Podcast. So that's that.
I thought you were going to add .com at the end of that. No. I was waiting for it. If you don't like Instagram because you're an absolute menace, we have an email, and it is biblioaudiopod@gmail.com for the same thing. You can just email us books or reviews, or if you are a small business with bookish themed things, or if you recommend a bookish themed, let us know, because we'd love to check them out and do a shout out.
Absolutely. For sure.
No cap. Straight bussin'. Okay, now that I'm done with the cringe, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.